Tonight we're doing something a little different, a little more intense. I'm diving headfirst into the chilling world of horror as I attempt to watch the top 10 scariest horror movies based in Oklahoma, all in one night. The goal? To see if I can make it through without screaming, without turning on all the lights, and without completely losing my nerve. This isn't just a movie marathon, it's an endurance test, a journey into the heart of fear, set against a backdrop you might not expect. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oklahoma? When you picture horror movie hotspots, you probably think of the foggy coasts of Maine or the isolated cabins of the Pacific Northwest. But trust me, the Sooner State has a unique and potent brand of terror all its own. It's a place of stark contrasts, where wide-open plains can feel both liberating and terrifyingly isolating. Where the endless sky, famous for its breathtaking sunsets, can also birth the most monstrous, swirling storm clouds imaginable. It's a land steeped in history, folklore, and the kind of small-town secrets that fester in the darkness. This is the landscape that has inspired some truly unsettling cinema. We're talking about more than just jump scares. We're talking about a deep, psychological dread that seeps into your bones. The kind of horror that comes from the uncanny emptiness of a rural road at midnight, the eerie silence of a vast wheat field rustling in the wind, or the forgotten whispers in a Dust Bowl-era farmhouse. It's the fear of what lies just beyond the horizon, or perhaps what's been buried right under your feet for generations. Filmmakers have tapped into this vein of American Gothic, using the state's unique geography and culture to craft stories that are both deeply regional and universally terrifying. From tales of psychological collapse in sun-bleached small towns to supernatural entities haunting the historic highways, there's no shortage of inspiration. The horror here feels grounded, plausible. It's the terror of the familiar twisted into something monstrous. So, tonight, we explore it all. We'll journey through a curated list of 10 films that prove Oklahoma is a heavyweight contender in the horror genre. I've got my supplies, I've silenced my phone, and I've accepted that I probably won't be sleeping much tonight. Are you ready? Grab some popcorn, dim the lights, and let's embark on this horror journey through the Sooner State. Let's see what nightmares it has in store for us. Oklahoma's vast plains, old Route 66, and rich Native American heritage create a unique backdrop for horror stories. However, many horror movies often overlook this rich and eerie landscape, instead opting for more familiar settings like haunted mansions or creepy asylums. But there's something undeniably unsettling about the Oklahoma landscape that begs to be explored on the big screen. By highlighting these films, we can appreciate the state's contribution to the horror genre and maybe even discover some new favorites. All right, let's dive into the heart of the matter. We've scoured the archives and braved the back roads to bring you our top 10 horror picks with deep roots in the Sooner State. These aren't just movies set in Oklahoma. These are stories that feel born from its red earth, its sprawling plains, and its unsettlingly quiet nights. We'll be exploring everything from psychological dread to full-blown creature features. So, lock your doors, and let's begin our countdown. Kicking off our list at number 10 is a controversial but compelling choice, The Outsiders. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's a coming-of-age classic, but don't let that fool you. Set against the gritty backdrop of 1960s Tulsa, the story taps into a very real, very human horror. The visceral rivalry between the Greasers and the Sox escalates with a terrifying suddenness, leading to moments of shocking violence and tragedy that linger long after the credits roll. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the most frightening monsters are the ones we create ourselves, born from class divides and youthful desperation. Coming in at number 9, we have a film that weaponizes isolation. Bug. This claustrophobic psychological thriller traps you in a seedy Oklahoma motel room with two characters spiraling into a shared paranoid delusion. The film masterfully blurs the line between reality and hallucination, making the audience question everything they see. It's a descent into madness fueled by conspiracy theories and a palpable sense of unseen insects crawling just beneath the skin. The horror here isn't a jump scare. It's the slow, creeping dread of losing your mind in a place you can't escape. At number 8, we saddle up for a cult classic that bleeds Oklahoma grit, Near Dark. This isn't your typical vampire movie. It reimagines the creatures of the night as a nomadic family of outlaws roaming the desolate heartland in a blacked-out RV. When a small-town Oklahoma farm boy gets entangled with them, the film becomes a brutal, sun-scorched western with fangs. It captures the stark, lonely beauty of the Oklahoma landscape and twists it into a hunting ground, proving that even in wide-open spaces, there's nowhere to hide. Our number 7 pick is a masterclass in contained terror, Splinter. The premise is terrifyingly simple. A young couple and an escaped convict are trapped in a remote Oklahoma gas station by a parasitic creature that reanimates its victims. This film is a relentless exercise in tension, using its single location to create a pressure cooker environment. The creature design is the stuff of nightmares, a grotesque collection of broken limbs and sharp spines. It's a reminder that in the most isolated corners of the state, you're a long way from help. For number 6, we have the wonderfully weird Night of the Comet. This 80s gem blends sci-fi, comedy, and horror into a unique post-apocalyptic vision. After a passing comet turns most of the population to red dust or flesh-eating zombies, 2 Valley Girl sisters find themselves among the few survivors. While much of the action is in California, the film's inciting event and its desolate, empty world tap into a fear that feels right at home in the vast, sometimes lonely landscapes of Oklahoma, where a quiet town can become a ghost town overnight. Cracking our top 5 is The Vanishing. This American remake of a chilling Dutch film relocates the terror to the sprawling, ambiguous landscapes of the American West, including the Oklahoma Panhandle. The story follows a man's obsessive, years-long search for his girlfriend who disappears without a trace from a gas station. The horror here is psychological and agonizingly slow-burning. It's the terror of the unknown, the dread of an unanswered question, and the chilling idea that evil can be patient, methodical, and hiding in plain sight. At number 4 is a film that turns the sky itself into a monster, Twister. While it's often labeled an action-adventure film, for anyone who has lived in Tornado Alley, this is pure, unadulterated horror. The movie's depiction of an F5 tornado, the finger of God, tearing a path of destruction across rural Oklahoma is nothing short of terrifying. It captures the primal fear of nature's uncontrollable power. The sound design alone, that freight train roar, is enough to trigger a deep-seated anxiety. It's a disaster movie that feels terrifyingly plausible in this part of the country. Our number 3 spot goes to the deeply unsettling The Killer Inside Me. This neo-noir psychological thriller plunges us into the darkness lurking behind the charming facade of a small-town Texas deputy, with the story's roots and filming taking place in Oklahoma. It explores the terrifying duality of a man who is both a pillar of his community and a brutal, remorseless sociopath. The horror is in the chillingly calm narration of its protagonist as he describes his violent impulses. It's a film that doesn't just show violence, it forces you into the mind of the perpetrator, making for a profoundly disturbing experience. At number 2, we have a film that feels like a genuine Oklahoma folktale brought to life, The Wretched. While set in Michigan, its themes of a hidden ancient evil lurking beneath a picturesque small town resonate deeply with the folklore of the American heartland. The story follows a teen who discovers his neighbor is a body-snatching witch who preys on children and erases them from memory. The film expertly blends creature horror with the dread of not being believed, a classic horror trope that feels especially isolating in a tight-knit community where appearances are everything. And our number 1 scariest horror pick connected to Oklahoma is Killers of the Flower Moon. While presented as a historical crime drama, at its core, this is a story of profound horror. Set in 1920s Oklahoma, it chronicles the systematic murder of members of the Osage Nation after oil was discovered on their land. The terror here is chillingly real and deeply rooted in American history. It's the horror of greed, betrayal, and a conspiracy of evil hiding in plain sight, perpetrated by neighbors and supposed friends. It's a slow, suffocating dread that exposes a darkness far more terrifying than any fictional monster, because it actually happened right here on Oklahoma soil. Now, for our deep dive. Of all the films that crawl under your skin and stay there, the one that stands out to me as particularly profoundly scary is The Killer Inside Me. Based on the classic noir novel, this isn't a story about monsters hiding in the shadows or ghosts haunting an old house. The monster here wears a badge and a friendly smile. The film's portrayal of a disturbed deputy sheriff, Lou Ford, methodically wreaking havoc on a small, unsuspecting West Texas town is deeply and philosophically unsettling. It's a slow-burn descent into a truly depraved mind, one that operates behind a mask of folksy, small-town charm. The horror doesn't jump out at you. It seeps in, poisoning the very idea of safety and community. You watch him interact with the townspeople, hear the easygoing cliches fall from his lips, and all the while, you are aware of the chilling abyss that lies just beneath the surface. It's this constant, terrifying dissonance that makes the film so effective. There are several moments that are hard to shake, but one key scene that still gives me chills is when Deputy Ford's carefully constructed facade finally cracks. It's not a sudden, explosive reveal, but a calculated, cold-blooded act that showcases the true, horrifying extent of his depravity. The film forces you to be a witness, not just to the violence, but to the chilling calmness with which it's executed. The terror in this scene comes from the absolute betrayal of trust, the protector becoming the predator. It's a masterclass in building psychological tension, making you question everything you thought you knew about the character. The true horror is realizing that this darkness wasn't a sudden break. It was always there, lurking, waiting for the right moment to emerge. It's the quiet moments after, the return to his calm demeanor, that are perhaps the most terrifying of all. Ultimately, what makes this film resonate so deeply with audiences is its unflinching exploration of the duality of human nature. It taps into a primal fear, the monster next door. We want to believe that evil is something obvious, something we can identify and avoid. But this story suggests that the most terrifying evil is the kind that looks just like us. It's the person everyone likes, the one who says yes ma'am and no sir. We never think that someone so seemingly normal could be capable of such profound, calculated evil, and that's what makes it all the more terrifying. The film leaves you with a lingering, uncomfortable question. How well do you truly know the people around you? It suggests that the placid surface of any small town, anywhere, could be hiding a killer inside. These films showcase Oklahoma's versatility as a horror movie setting, from its natural disasters to its complex characters. Each one offers a unique take on the horror genre, proving that there's more to Oklahoma than just cowboy boots and rodeos. By embracing the state's eerie landscapes and haunted history, these filmmakers have created something truly special. If you're a horror fan looking for something new to sink your teeth into, I highly recommend checking out these Oklahoma-based horror movies. If you have a favorite horror film set in Oklahoma, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and if you're looking for another horror-themed video, check out my other video on the scariest abandoned places in Oklahoma.